All right, and we thank you guys for joining us back again for our final session. And I won't say that we saved the best for last, but I will say that I'm very partial to our presenter today. So we are about to do our session for preparing for the fourth industrial revolution in group economics. And the name of our center for any newcomers is Zan Wesley Holmes Jr. Community Outreach Center. And we have proudly served over 5,700 clients since 2019. Our mission statement is to create self-sustaining pathways out of poverty for young people and families living in Dallas through education, job training, and placement. And to accomplish that mission, we have employed an entrepreneurship program, a STEM workforce training, so for our low voltage program, and some asset building classes, such as increments of success, cash flow, collateral, and leverage, and the financial wellness village, which is our newest baby. And if you would like to learn about any of those programs, you see our website there. So please feel free to follow the link and learn about some of the things that we do at the center and how to get on those lists. This is our executive director who will also be presenting today, Frances Smith-Dean. She is our executive director, has been since January of 2018. She is also the business owner of the Financial Educator LLC. She's a former registered investment advisor for retirement plans of Chicago, Illinois. She's also a former mathematics adjunct professor at Richland College. And that's just a brief synopsis of all the things that she has done and accomplished. Then you have myself, Jasmine Anderson. I am the operations manager with the center. I have a bachelor's in nonprofit management as well as my master's. I also own a small business. My expertise is in construction, social media, and real estate. And then we have the amazing Audrey Brown, who is the executive assistant. She has a bachelor's in business administration. She has worked at Sam's Club, so she has an extensive background in sales. She also owns her own notary business and is a financial coach. And I keep doing that. So without further ado, I will now hand this over to Ms. Audrey Brown, who will further introduce our presenter today.
Thank you. Thank you. Welcome again to everybody who has returned to receive this wonderful information, preparing us for the beginning and taking us through. So just a little bit more information about Frances Smith-Dean. She has, as we've already expressed, she is executive director of Zan Wesley Holmes Junior Community Outreach Center. She has extensive experience in political activity, as a political activist, a community leader, and successful economist. She has utilized her vast knowledge for more than 20 years as a financial consultant, both nationally and internationally, by working with business leaders around the world regarding financial exchange trade opportunities. As the owner of the Financial Educator, she provides training sessions about the economy to all of her clientele throughout the nation. She also serves with several businesses that are faith-based organizations. So with that, we're gonna keep the list short and sweet, knowing that there are a plethora of things that she's involved in. We are ready to take notes, go back to class, and go back to school, ma'am. Thank you. You're muted.
Thank you. Thank you, both Audrey and Jasmine, for the great introduction. Thank you, everyone, for joining us today. What I'm aiming to do is pull all of the information from all the sessions together so that you can have a micro view of how we need to prepare for this fourth industrial revolution. The presenters before me, Ms. Ruth and John, prepared you for the global workforce and certain skills. And we're going to bring out those skill sets in this particular presentation on today. So we're going to do an overview. I'm going to answer the question, what is the fourth industrial revolution? How should you prepare? I'm gonna give you a forecast of what I see over the next 12 months and resources. So in the overview, we need to bring all of the sessions together. So even though we had different types of sessions, we had a theme based on the new economy. And in this new economy, it's really gonna depend, our work office now is our phone. So we're gonna have to use apps. We're gonna have to consider international living and work options. We're also gonna have to consider transforming from an employee to an employer, which is the gig economy, freelancing. You're gonna see Upwork. You're gonna see various opportunities for you to begin to freelance. The sharing economy. Some of our hosts on yesterday, they talked about Airbnb and Turo rentals. You need to go back and look at the video because they were excellent in how they outlined it. This is a husband and wife team. He is in IT and she was a nurse, and they transitioned to the sharing economy. And then last but not least today, Ms. Ruth and John, they talked about what it means to work for a global company like Amazon and what skills you need. And in order for you to be prepared and to prepare your loved ones, because here's what I understand from teaching the cash flow collateral class. It's hard to convince your family that things are changing. It's very, very difficult. People do not want to believe that America is contracting. And as we contract, in the fourth industrial revolution, the Asian countries will take the lead. So how do I know this? Chairman Powell, he said, we're never going back to the old economy. You can look up this source in CNN Business, November the 17th, 2020. He says it. I want you to, after this presentation, listen to this video. He says, we're not going back. He said, the new economy is tied to technology. He said, the people who are going to get hurt are minorities and women and the low-wage jobs. Now, COVID was the first disruptor, but this new economy or this new fourth industrial revolution is a technology revolution. And technology, we're gonna see where with your phone, you can program it and automate your grass, your lawn to be cut. Or you can automate the stove to go on, which is smart homes, as well as smart cities. We're gonna see 5G is gonna be revolutionary in this new infrastructure for us to be able to move forward. So if we're at the fourth industrial revolution, let's look at history. History is the best signature that we have to look at to see what happened in the past. In the first industrial revolution, it was mechanical, production, railroads, steam power. In the second, it was mass production, electrical power, assembly line. In the third, it was automated production, electronics, computers. And now it brings us to the fourth industrial revolution, which is artificial intelligence, big data, robots, and more to come, as well as DNA sequencing. So what do I mean by that? That's where this whole biotech industry comes into play. If you have diabetes, if you have high blood pressure, now in DNA sequencing, they could go in and turn on a switch in your DNA and you won't have it, or turn it off, or whatever that marker is. These are all the new things that are coming into play. So now let's get a technical definition according to the World Economic Forum. So when we look at the fourth industrial revolution, It represents a fundamental change in the way we live, work, and relate to one another. It's a new chapter in human development. It enables the extraordinary technology advances to commensurate with those in the first, the second, and the third industrial revolutions. And that's true. So when I say America is contracting, here is what I mean. It used to take, let's say in the insurance industry, in the claims, it used to take maybe 49 people in one team to what? Manage claims. With algorithms, with artificial intelligence, with Internet of Things, 5 people. So what's happened? Insurance companies like State Farm and Allstate, they are scaling their workforce down. They are taking divisions of 49 people and bringing it down to maybe 5. Why? Because of the fourth industrial revolution. These advances are merging the physical, digital, biological worlds in ways that create both a huge promise and potential peril. The speed, breadth, depth of this revolution is forcing us to rethink how countries develop, how countries organize, how organizations create value, and even what it is means to be human. Okay, so let me say that again. These advances are merging the physical, the digital, and biological worlds in ways that create both human promise and potential peril. The speed, breadth, and depth of this revolution is forcing us to rethink how countries develop, how organizations create value, and even what it means to be human. Here is the biggest issue with the fourth industrial revolution. It's going to replace the human touch. So why am I saying that? These are some important terms you now need to know. Disruptors, Great Reset, Winter Season, and Society 5.0. Once we get to Society 5.0, Japan is the leader. So what you have to understand is this. The fourth industrial revolution, even though the World Economic Forum coined the term, Silicon Valley in San Francisco helped work with the World Economic Forum and countries to develop the whole plan. In Society 5.0, you will own nothing. Your children will be taught by robots. Even when it comes to healthcare, robots will now take care of a lot of the baby boomers. So these changes are happening swiftly, but America, remember, is the last free society. So the next set of elections are going to be very crucial for us and how we need to think about how we're going to embrace all of this new technology, all of these new areas that you just may disrupt you as a worker or as a business owner. So the fourth industrial revolution will trigger massive chaos, breakdowns within our society. And we're seeing that now. That's social, political, when we see Black Lives Matter, when we see people fighting for their rights, for DACA, these social, political chasms are all coming together. Why? Because of the economics that is underlined in this whole macro economy. So you need to be cautious and understand how to navigate the various agendas that will be given to you. So let's look at what's going to be disrupted. I spoke about AI, healthcare being number one. And a lot of people don't realize, a lot of healthcare workers, even though COVID came and you would think that they would need the workers, a lot of healthcare workers were laid off. as a result of the fourth industrial revolution. And what you also need to understand, prior to COVID, the companies were contracting. COVID just did what? It rushed or it speed up the process of what you were going through. So number 2 is customer service and experience. Number 3 is banking, financial services, and insurance. Why do you need a broker? Now you have algorithms and robots who could trade for you. You don't have the need for a broker. So, and as banks begin to transition, now they want to become custodian of Bitcoin because they realize this whole new transition is happening. Logistics, Amazon just spoke. They're a global company, but logistics wise, it's going to be important for them to do what? Stay abreast. Retail, we've seen that. How many stores, retail stores have gone out of business or bankrupt? COVID sped it up, but AI disrupted it because what? Amazon took the market share. And people went from going to the store to what? Ordering online. Cybersecurity, transportation, marketing, defense, and our lifestyle. So, how should you prepare for the fourth industrial revolution? There are 3 things that I want you all as Americans to begin to prepare yourselves for. 1, to become a global citizen. 2, you also need to become a business owner and investor. So those are 3 things we have to focus on today in my presentation. 1, you must become a global citizen. In the previous presentation, Ms. Ruth said to people becoming a global worker, you just have to become a global citizen. In 2010, I went to Dubai and I met with the chief economist of the country. And I asked him about the global minimum wage. Well, he didn't answer the question at the time. But as we're looking at the new policy and regulation, President Biden is putting forth a global corporate tax. If that global corporate tax passes, we're going to have a global minimum wage. That's next. There's no way corporations are going to be able to pay you $15 an hour when they could get cheaper labor that pays $7 or $5 an hour. We're going to have to, at some point, go to a global minimum wage. So I don't want you to be alarmed by this. I want you to understand that's one of those disruptors. So again, if we go to a global corporate tax, meaning corporations, no matter where they are in the globe, they will all pay a flat tax of 21%. Let's just say 21% is what they agree upon. Next will be a global minimum wage. Why? If Americans think that corporations are going to be able to pay $15 or small businesses, that's not happening. They don't need your labor. They could go get a robot, or they could have a algorithm take the place of that of your physical labor. So I want you to wrap your head around this, because becoming a global citizen will give you an edge. It will give you an advantage, okay? Second, becoming a business owner. And then thirdly, becoming an investor. So when we look at our next list of things, Ms. Ruth talked about hard skills and soft skills. So according to the World Economic Forum, there are 10 skills needed for you to be able to maneuver in this whole new economy. Cognitive flexibility, critical thinking, negotiation, complex problem solving, service orientation, judgment and decision-making, emotional intelligence. That's one thing we teach here at the ZWHC Homes Community Outreach Center. Coordinating with others, people management, and creativity. Let me say this again. These are the 10 skills you're gonna need. Now, if you don't have them, it's okay. But guess what? You're gonna co-coordinate with others. So you might not have it, but you may know other people who have it. That's why group economics in this season is going to be so important for everybody to sort of wrap their heads around, because this is going to be a lot for people to understand. You know, our kid, my daughter just recently graduated from Texas A&M in Texarkana. And, you know, I said to her all the time, I said, you got to sell yourself. You're going to have to negotiate. If you don't like something, you got two choices: hire yourself or go in there and negotiate. And what has to happen is our sense of entitlement as Americans have to change when we become global citizens, because we're used to what? A certain way of life. So the sense of entitlement that we have as American citizens will have to begin to transform and change, because remember, you're not going to just compete with the American next door or the American in another state. You're competing with people globally who speak more than one language than you do, or who understand various cultures. So becoming a global citizen means entrepreneurship. The 10 skills needed for the fourth industrial revolution, they all center around entrepreneurship. One thing about America, we're a great country. Yes, we are. And we have a spirit of entrepreneurship. We don't come from a totalitarianism. We come from a free market. And in order for us to go to the next level, we're going to have to master these skill sets: cognitive flexibility, critical thinking, negotiation, complex problem solving, service orientation, judgment and decision making, emotional intelligence, coordinating with others, people management, and creativity. So I want to explain to you why we started working with emotional intelligence. I did some coursework on emotional intelligence while with Dallas Community College District. And I noticed that for our clientele, we had to help them become resilient. And emotional intelligence is that trigger or that key that will help people overcome all of the obstacles that come into their life. So that is an important skill set that they have to know about. Our next topic is group economics, the power of an investment club. Here's what I want to say to you. Group, if you look at churches that are built throughout this city and all cities across America, think group economics. If you could build a $5 million church in a poor community with poor people, that was group economics. So here's a checklist for you to have in mind when you're dealing or trying to do an investment club. One, members got to have the right mindset. So here's what I'm going to say to you. If you're thinking about starting an investment club, I want you to have a conversation with like-minded people. You know why? Because people who don't have the mindset or the patience, they're going to disrupt your club. Two, the purpose. So either you make a choice, do you want to be real estate, businesses, stocks, or cryptocurrency? So you choose what you may want to invest in together as a group. Then you have committees, investment committee, finance committee, and the research committee. You need to have an LLC, unlimited liability company, through your Secretary of State's office. You need to get a tax ID. That's what an SS4 form. You need to also have an operating agreement. This provides with a detailed description on the way that the investment club should operate. And you need to have two things: monthly dues and an initial investment. In the 1990s, I had 4 investment clubs, one at work, one with my close friends, one with my sorority, and another one with some other friends. Okay, my oldest club, we're still together. So, and that's the first club I started with my friends. But I'm gonna say to you, it was the best thing we ever did together. When you think about Warren Buffett and Berkshire Hathaway, that's what he did. He did group economics. He put all of his friends and people that he knew to come together, and he formed Berkshire Hathaway. And as a result of this, now look at his investment club. Investment clubs are some of the best tools that you could have to introduce people to crypto or stocks or real estate or businesses. I realize that it is very difficult when we talk to our family members and our friends. So the best way to help educate them, it will be through the investment club route. Why? Because people have a invested stake. Once they start putting their money and you're pulling your money together, and also on this checklist, put open a bank account. So also on the checklist, you need to put open a bank account. So people who have a vested interest in investing, this is the way you can introduce cryptos. This is the way you can introduce stocks. This is the way you can introduce real estate and other businesses. So in the initial meeting of your investment club, you need to have election of officers, create a mission, decide on dues, meeting days and times, committee assignments, and operating agreement. So in your initial meetings, you might have maybe 1 or 2 meetings every week. And then once you have 1 or 2 meetings every week, then you could go back and have and instill a monthly meeting. But at the initial meetings, the startup meetings, you need to elect officers. You need to create a mission statement, decide on the dues, meeting days and times, committee assignments, and the operating agreement. So let's look at how to prepare for the 4th Industrial Revolution. I'm gonna say this, and I'm gonna say this 20 times. We are 10 years behind Asian countries when it comes to the 4th Industrial Revolution. We are 10 years behind China. As a result of us being 10 years behind, it is now time for Americans to skill up. Assess your current skill set. And it is time for you to look at becoming a global citizen. So when I say skill up, you have to say this. If I receive this certification, can I do something internationally with it? So that's what you have to ask yourself. If I receive this certification, can I do something internationally? Remember, skilling up is going to be important. I have about 5 clients, and one of the clients was in one of the cash flow, collateral, and leverage class, and she heard me say this first thing that we needed to do, skill up. So she did, she skilled up. Guess what? She's marketable. She has companies calling her from different parts of the world, Dubai, from Thailand. Why? Because she took the certification, she skilled up. It's a global certification, And she has put herself on the map with this new certification. So I'm saying to you all today, retired, thinking about having to go back into the workforce, look at your current skills and skill up, but make sure it aligns with becoming a global citizen.
May I ask a question?
Yeah.
In that transition that she made with her certification, did she also receive or seek to learn other languages, or was she already skilled with the other langues?
She
or
wasn't
was she hiring somebody to work with those languages?
Okay, so she wasn't skilled with the other languages. So in our meeting, that was something that we discussed.
Right.
She wasn't skilled with the other languages. She got the global certification in HR. And so after receiving that global certification, she said to me, I said, now you can negotiate. Okay, so here's the thing. Without saying so much, she is trying to, negotiate for higher salary. But I said to her, you can't negotiate if you don't have tools to negotiate with. You understand what I'm saying? When you've been with companies so long and you're a good worker, you come in on time, you help bail them out, they're
not going to give you any money.
That's right. They take you for
I know
granted.
how that works.
Right.
Yeah, they do.
And so here's what I said to her. I said, let's test your new certification because it's a global HR certification. Well, guess what? She got calls from, everywhere. Once she placed that on her resume, and once she updated her resume, she got like 5 to 6 calls. Well, now she got something to negotiate with. So, and what do I mean? She can now go back to her current employer and say, look, I got value because I have something that they need and you also need it too.
Right.
Okay. So in this transition that we're going to, she's going to have to learn 2 languages. Okay. So if she takes, she's going to have to learn Mandarin, or she's going to have to learn Arabic, but she's going to, it is not needed. It's not needed for her to do it, but it is added value. Okay. It's added value. And it's added value because the workforce that she's going to work with, even internationally, is Europeans, Asians, and some parts of Africa. Okay. So, but it is not mandatory. But I told her, always make sure you have the edge. Right. So in having the edge, learn that language. Got it? Okay. Good?
Thank you. Yes, thank you.
Okay, you're welcome. Okay.
Now,
next important tip, join networks. What do I mean by join networks? Becoming a global citizen is challenging because we're so comfortable and the unknown is very challenging. So now is the time for you to research networks on LinkedIn or meetups to sort of get an understanding, research. And I'm gonna say globally, even the consulate. Dallas has a lot of resources of networks, the Dallas councils, they have a lot of resources where you can join those networks just to get an idea of what's going on globally and geopolitically, okay? Also with your churches. Churches are the best avenues where you can start doing studies, let's say on Cuba, on Brazil. Why? Because you could come, the church can do mission trips where you culturally learn about the language, but the church would help you now move into other countries and be able to travel with a group that you know, but also you all will educate yourself about those countries. So either networks within geopolitical or your church. The church has a great tool because it reaches it has a far reach. The next thing is create the following plans, and I'll go through each one of them. First plan is a family plan. Makara's family, her mom, Dia, she said they created a family plan before they became, before they left for Shanghai to work. And in the family plan, from now until maybe you could go out till 2025 or till 2030, say, okay, so here's some of our goals, here where the kids are. Here's what I think we should do. Should we travel internationally? Should we visit other places? And begin a study. You could do this at home for free. Begin studying with your family. So for example, for me, when I went to Dubai in 2010 and I came home, my children were upset with me because they wanted me to take them. And so I said to them this, I said, guys, I said, where do you want to go? So my daughters wanted to go to Italy. And so I said to them, I said, well, let's do a study in the summer. Let's learn about it, learn about the culture, everything. Well, guess what? My oldest daughter was at Bishop Lynch, and Bishop Lynch went to Italy. Then when she went to Michigan State, she did the foreign travel with the university, and she went to Italy. Why? She was familiar with it. We did a study. We talked about the language. We talked about the culture. There are certain things you could do at home, certain things we could do in our communities to begin the education process as we create these family plans. Create a financial plan. Why? Financial plans are going to be important for us to transition just in case we need to go immediately within a 3-month period. My cousin Halima, she spoke about her challenges when she went to Qatar. So Halima called me and we talked about it. And she said, I really have to take this offer. And I said to her, I said, okay, so, start planning things out, because, once you get there, you don't want to have any missteps. So she did. She started working through where she was, what she needed. She sat down, she talked to the family. The family gave her support so that she could make sure that she had like a little safety net, in other words. And then thirdly, you need to have a risk management plan. Anything could go wrong. Everything could go wrong. But in a risk management plan, it provides you with options, okay? In a risk management plan, it's going to provide you now, if this goes wrong, where will I be able to pull money from? So in 2005, my family and I went through Hurricane Katrina. I'm originally from New Orleans, and what happened was I gave my last $1,000 to my grass cutter to cut my tree near my home. And my husband said, girl, you're crazy. Why would you give that was our emergency money now for hurricane season, because every hurricane season we would leave, we would have to go somewhere, we have to stay in a hotel. So we would put money on the side. So I said, Dean, I said, we need the tree cut, because if it falls on the house, that's going to be it. We got to just deal with too much. So I gave the grass cutter the money. So my husband was upset, but what he didn't know and what I knew, I could trade. So I said to him, I said, we're going to be all right. I do have some money left in this account. I said, we'll be all right. So when we got to Houston and 15 feet of water started pouring in, I was a little bit nervous because I was like, okay, we're not going to be able to get back into the city. I'm not going to be able to do some things. But when I walked outside the Marriott Hotel, I never forget, to my left was TD Ameritrade. It was TD Waterhouse at the time, but I was like, thank you, Jesus, we have money. So we went to TD Waterhouse. I said, okay, I have forgotten all my passwords, everything. We need to sort of kind of get back into the account, because what happens is that was my risk management plan. I placed that money on the side as a backup. And my husband was like, Francis, how could you just give all? I said, we're going to be all right. I kept telling him we're going to be all right. I said, I have my laptop. And when he said, what are the accounts for the trading account? I was like, Dean, I can't think of it. We're going to be all right, though. So when we walked out and I saw TD Ameritrade, I was like, oh, thank you, Lord. But having that risk management plan in place is needed. See, if I hadn't had it in place, we couldn't use it, because we did have insurance. Insurance didn't kick in until a month after. So here's August, September, we're in limbo. Insurance didn't kick in because the lines were jammed. The banks were having issues, but with my brokerage account, we were able to sustain ourselves and keep ourselves afloat. So before I get to forecast, let me go back, because I know some of you have just joined us. Okay, so here is why we're looking at a new economy. You have to listen to what the Fed chairman says. He really is very transparent. I want you all in this session, after the session is over, to go to CNN Business. It's the November 17th, 2020. He says to us, we're going to a new economy. And as he explains to us, he says it's going to be tied to technology. People are going to work from home. He says, who's going to get hurt in this process? He said, minorities and women, we're going to be hurt in this process. And he's right. Why? Because he knows, like we know today, we're coming up on the fourth industrial revolution. As we come up on the fourth industrial revolution, it's a disruptor to humanity. In simple terms, it's disrupting humanity. What do I mean by that? The way we work, the way we live is just going to disrupt it. And I explained what the fourth industrial revolution is. And as a result of advances in technology, it's the merging of the physical, digital, and biological worlds. So organizations have to do a lot of rethinking. And as organizations do rethinking, they're scaling. And then they're contracting. So they're scaling to take this new technologies, and they're contracting at the same time. I shared with you all, you got to be aware of certain terms: disruptors, Great Reset, winter season, and Society 5.0. In the Society 5.0, guys, that's when you're going to see the major changes. Japan is taking the lead on Society 5.0. I need you to read about it, become aware of it, because it will be implemented. I said the fourth industrial revolution will trigger massive chaos and breakdowns within our society. You're going to have to be cautious and understand how to navigate the various agendas that will be given to you. I also told you that there are 10 industries that will be disrupted. healthcare, customer service and experience, banking, financial services and insurance, logistics, retail, cybersecurity, transportation, marketing, defense, and lifestyle. In Dallas alone, banks are closing their lobbies. Why is that? They're being disrupted. I don't know about you. I live in Richardson, and 5 banks within a mile radius of me have closed their lobbies. I have to maybe go to a Target now to access Capital One. I also have an account with Chase. No longer are 2 of the Chase branches open. So this is signs of disruption. I said also, Americans now have to focus on becoming global citizens, okay? You now have to focus on becoming a global citizen. You can no longer think that the American way of life is going to just be the begin all and the end all. Focusing on becoming a global citizen will give you an edge. And I use the example of my client. When I explain to them, you all have to skill up. Also being a business owner and investor. I said there are 10 skills you're going to need: cognitive flexibility, critical thinking, negotiation, complex problem solving, service orientation, judgment and decision making, emotional intelligence, co-coordinating with others, people management, and creativity. These are essential. Without having these skills, you don't have to have all of them, but you have to make sure you surround yourself, or that people management or coordinating with others. You're gonna have to make sure you have a good team of people around you, where you're strong in one area and they're weak in the other, that you guys balance yourselves off. And I said all of those skills center around one word, and that's entrepreneurship. The 10 skills needed, according to the World Economic Forum, for the 4th Industrial Revolution, center plainly around entrepreneurship. And I said to you also, is replacing humanity. So I think the biggest challenge that we're going to have as Americans, will computers have bias? Yes, they will. And so if we don't begin to become a little bit involved, when you program, it depends on who's programming that computer or who's programming that robot. Will that robot have bias? Yes, that robot will. Why? Because it's taken on the personality of someone who may not be a person of color, or who may not be a woman, or who may not be a part of the LGBTQ community. And what we have to understand now is, with these changes and disruptions that are happening, we now need to look at other ways we have to sort of offset the whole disruption that's going to happen. You know, group economics is important. If you pass by a church and you see the building, the facilities, the edifice, I mean, beautiful. But that was a group economics. So what's the group economic checklist? Members have to have the right mindset. Purpose. In a purpose, you either going to invest in real estate, businesses, stocks, or cryptocurrencies. The types of committees you're going to need: investment committee, finance committee, research committee. You will need an LLC through your Secretary of State. You need the tax ID, which is that SS4 form. You're going to need an operating agreement. That provides a detailed description on how the investment club should operate, monthly dues and initial investment, and also your bank account. I said in your initial meetings, decide on the following: election of officers, create a mission, decide dues, meeting dates and times, committee assignments, and your operating agreement. Now, and I said to prepare, assessing your skill set, you got to skill up, folks. I know a lot of people can't be business owners. If you can't be a business owner, now you have to say, I have to become a global citizen. I have a lot of clients who are working with State Farm. And I said to my group, I said, I know you all want to work at least another 5 to 10 years. I said, but the disruption is coming. You got to skill up. Either you got to get in the blockchain technology, or you're going to have to get a skill related in that area if you're going to survive this next layoff. And so when I'm saying that, I'm not trying to be harsh, but I'm trying to make you aware that your skill set is going to be important, and it has to be a global skill set. It can no longer just fit the American bill. I said to you, you got to join networks, geopolitical networks that talk about geopolitics, or you have to just join networks through your church. Let your church, if your church decides to do a mission study, a mission travel, you need to learn about these other countries. Also, I said family plans. You need to have a family plan now, or create one. You need a financial plan, and you need a risk management plan. Why? You never know what could happen. In the risk management plan, you're saying, okay, in case we get flooded, in case something happens, in case I'm in the hospital, what needs to happen? That's that risk management plan. Who's in charge? When you have these 3 plans, which are crucial, it will help you now navigate in tough times. And I gave the example of when Hurricane Katrina came. How did we navigate? So let's get to the forecast, because I know that's what you really want to hear about. So as we look at the forecast, over the next 12 months, okay, we're coming into a time of a lot of chaos over the next 12 months. 1, the central bank digital currency, the digital dollar. In July, the Federal Reserve is going to test, they're going to give input. We will know, or we will have some idea when we're getting this whole digital dollar. I said to you, China is 10 years ahead of us. Currently, China has airdropped the digital yuan to their citizens. So they're being tested now. They could walk into stores and not have to use their wallets. They don't even have to bring a wallet. There's facial recognition in Korea, because see, the Asian countries are 10 years ahead of us. So in Korea, some parts of Korea, they use facial recognition. You don't even have to have your wallet with you. You could go into the store and they're gonna start going to your wallet, and you can pay for goods and services. Bitcoin will have a parabolic move over the next 12 months. We may even see it go to as high as 100 to 200K. The next thing, there will be a push toward regulation due to the volatility within the crypto space. Crypto, you have to understand, is not regulated. I'm gonna say that again. Cryptocurrency is not regulated. It's speculative. Why? Because we have no rules. It's like the Wild Wild West. It's technology is going to be used because we're using it now. When you Zelle, when you do Cash App, that's all crypto, that's XRP. You're using it. So this whole blockchain is not going away. And the use case for certain tokens or coins, they're not going either. It's here to stay. But it's volatile. Because this space is so volatile, there's going to be a huge push for regulation. Now, when that happens, That means all 10,000 tokens, we're going to only see 1%. Once regulation comes into the space, write this in your notes, a lot of tokens will go bankrupt or belly up. So your goal is to stay on top of the research, and your goal is to stay engaged with networks and information that can provide you research on the new crypto space. The US elections, the US 2022 elections will be a turning point legislatively for the American economy. We are tribal as American citizens. We are extremely tribal. But what I want you to understand now, the US, if we don't get the right group of people, and I'm not saying, I'm just saying this, if we don't get forward thinking legislators, we're in trouble. So I'm just going to ask you to be in prayer for government over this next year. We have to get the right people to emerge for the midterm elections as well as the presidential. Weather will be a major concern for Americans based on the sunspot cycle. I told the sunspot cycle at the center in 2019, told the class, the cash flow collateral class, and said, okay, the sunspot cycle is showing that we're going to have a pandemic weather. And so that's going to signal a crash or between, I think I said March to April. And you can get the validity of this from people who've been in the class, who was in that class. And I told them, I said, we're going to have some kind of pandemic to come in around February, but we're going to have a major crash in the market. And we did. But it's the sunspot cycle that tells us this. The sunspot cycle is signaling something else. And it's signaling something with the weather. That's why you hear about green energy and things like that. Because if we don't get our priorities straight as a country, we're going to be in trouble. More Americans will elect to stay home versus going into the office. If Americans are given the opportunity to stay home and work from home, they're going to do it. And then last but not least, which is really troubling, we may see currency wars. Why? Because the US dollar is under attack. We studied the 6 stages of the dollar. And we could possibly see wake up one day and we're in a major currency war. And the whole
Currency
goal.
war.
Hello?
I'm sorry. That's I can't see it on the screen. It's possible currency.
Currency war.
Okay.
Currency wars, yeah.
Thank you.
We may head into a currency war because other countries are de-dollarized because the US dollar is so strong, okay? And when other countries de-dollarize and they have an agenda against the US dollar or the petrodollar, we're gonna have some issues, probably at the end of this quarter, at the end of the 4th quarter, the beginning of the 1st quarter, okay? I've been reading and studying a lot of the geopolitical pundits and they've been saying what is going on. And recently I found an article where Cuba has decided and told tourists, do not bring dollars. Cuba, now I want you to think about this. Cuba's economy is based on the US dollar because wealthy Cubans live in Miami. They live in Florida. Guess what? They send billions of dollars to their families. So when the Cuban government, and you can look this up because I sent this to my tribes, when the Cuban government said that they didn't, they told the tourists that they don't want them to transact business in dollars, I was like, that solidified the fact for me that we may possibly go into a major currency war. Now, if that happens, your number one risk management plan is going to be purchasing power. So you're going to have to sit down and say, how do I protect, what's going to be my risk management plan if we have a currency war for purchasing power? Your purchasing power now is under attack. And because your purchasing power is under attack, I know I'm giving you a lot over the next 12 months, but look, we're in June. We just started 2021. We're now just getting out, moving about the cabin. The next 6 months are going to be here. Boom, we're going to be in 2020 elections. But among that, we have to deal with weather. Look what happened to us in Texas, the grid. We have to deal with weather. Weather's going to be a major concern. And if we have a weather and currency wars, we're going to have some challenges. So I want you to understand that it's not that you don't do anything or don't feel overwhelmed. Just go back to what I said earlier, these plans. That's why these plans are needed. The family plan, the financial plan, and the risk management plan. Because if these forecasts come to pass, how do you want to be positioned? So I'm going to say this. Let's look at how we could get positioned and what you need to do. So when it comes to green energy, BlackRock is one of the best funds to look at. When it comes to innovation, machine learning, deep learning technology, ARK Invest with Kathy Woods. When it comes into the overall market, Paul Mempili, Vanguard, Weiss Ratings, and Mark Moss. These are Mark as well as Paul. They're on YouTube, but they have subscription services. When it comes to cryptocurrencies, Weiss Ratings and Token Metrics. These are some resources, but these are also trends that go with the resource. So again, when I talk about green energy, what am I talking about? I'm talking about solar, wind, that's that green energy space, fuel cells. When I talk about innovation, machine learning, deep learning technology, I'm talking about Internet of Things. I'm talking about what is going to drive that whole artificial intelligence, 5G. Once that 5G is turned on, the phone is going to really dictate everything you do. And when you have to look at the overall market, Paul Mempili, Vanguard, Weiss Ratings, and Mark Moss are very good resources. When you're looking at cryptocurrencies, Weiss Ratings and Token Metrics. Books. So if you're part of our cash flow collateral class, you know that we read a book, 1 to 2 books every quarter, just about. The Only Game in Town by Muhammad El-Erian. Life After Google, The Big Fall of Big Data, George Gilder. The Fourth Turning, that's what we're reading now as a group. What about the cycles of history? What the cycles of history tell us about America? That's Neil Howe and William Strauss. And The Great Crash Ahead by Harry Dent. We have had the opportunity now to understand the role of the central bank, how big data is changing. And you know what? Most people didn't even realize when I gave the book of the Life After Google, they didn't even realize Google is transforming. That book taught us how Google is beginning to transform its business model. And for turning, the reason why we're reading the fourth turning is because we're in what is called the crisis cycle. And every so many years, it talks about this 80-year cycle. Every so many years, baby boomers, Gen X, millennial, groups have to figure out how to go to the next level. Well, the fourth turning is something that our group will be presenting on, so that we can figure out how we need to navigate through what we're in is a stage of crisis. So now I'm going to open it up to questions. If you need me to go back, let me go back to the forecast over the next 12 months. Remember, July, the central bank's digital currency. So the Bank of Boston, MIT, the Federal Reserve of Boston and MIT getting together, and we're looking at digital currency in July. Bitcoin will have a parabolic move. Yes, Bitcoin does lose like 50% of its value, but it will have a parabolic move over the next 12 months. There'll be a push toward regulation because of the volatility. The US 2022 elections will be the turning point. So the reason why I had the group to read this new currency crisis, the fourth turning, is because this election is crucial for Americans. This is the most important election in our history, because it's going to show us how we're going to figure out, we're in a crisis mode, how we're going to be able to figure this out. So it's going to be important that we look at this so that we can have a soft landing and not a hard one. Whether it's going to be a major concern, if you go research the sunspot cycles, you'll see NASA does a good job. They have great information. More Americans will elect to stay home versus going to office, and possible currency wars. Now, the currency war issue is something you got to be concerned about, because one day with the currency war, we could have massive chaos. So to prepare yourself, you're preparing yourself against that purchasing power if we get into a currency war. So I'm going to stop this and I'm going to take questions.
All right, we have questions already in the chat. So first question, as entrepreneurs, what role will personal credit, business credit, or corporate credit play in preparing for the fourth industrial revolution, and how should we leverage it?
Okay, very good. Very, very good question. Credit, because we're a debt society, credit is still going to be important until Americans move from that. But since it's a debt society, you're going to have to use credit strategically different this time. Why? Because of the changes. So use cash first if you can to test market. Use credit to know when your market is stable. Okay, so what happens a lot of times is cash is used last and then credit is used first. I think you're going to have to reverse that, because you want to know that your market that you're selling to, be it a product or a service, is going to be, it's going to work, it's going to be essential. You're going to work out the kinks. And once you work out the kinks and you have your business in place, then put the credit in. And you know that you're going to be able to pay that credit back. I don't want you to get into a credit crunch where it's going to be challenging for you not to be able to pay the debt back. And that's why I'm warning against it. Okay, Audrey?
Okay, next question. Why are women going to suffer more than others?
Okay, I'm gonna say minority women. Because of where they are in the within the workplace. If you look at a lot of minority women, they're in data type jobs. They're in, and let me go back and share my screen. And I'm gonna go to the disruptive. Okay. See the industries? Most people didn't know that in the healthcare crisis, there were major layoffs. The women who were affected were people who worked in food service, CNAs were affected, the low-level industries. If you were in banking, tellers were affected. You see what I'm saying? That's why women are affected. Women are not CEOs, they're not top management. Now, in this next move for contraction, middle management will be affected. But women, when they hold a spot, they hold clerks, the data, they're on the floor. They're the people you see, you greet. And so even with security, a lot of females were affected. And then women were also affected because their kids were affected. Schools were closed. They had no one to keep the children. So I hope you understand now is the first thing is their job level. The second thing that affected them was the fact that they had children. They were the caretakers. And when you look at each one, even bus drivers, think about the school. Okay, so schools were closed. Bus drivers didn't work. Food cafeterias didn't, food nutritionists didn't work. Teachers worked, but when you look at how jobs are concentrated and how women fit within those groups, you see how women are affected first. Okay. Audrey?
Just check. No other questions. I have a question. If we can go back to credit.
Okay.
What I'm learning, and Ms. Francis, we talked about this, is that we have 3 bureaus right now for credit.
Correct.
But eventually they're going to scale that down to 1.
Correct, yes. Okay, so, and thank you for mentioning it. Currently, we're going to look at what is called base 10. We're looking at, the government is looking at different types of credit systems. I said to the group that with this new credit system, you're going to get what is called a social score, meaning this: Facebook, LinkedIn, wherever you are socially, that may be factored into your whole credit score. So I try to tell young people, don't put all your business, don't be, just watch your behavior on social media. Because we're in a global economy, that whole social factor will be factored into credit scores. How they're going to do it, they're still going through tests, but we are going to a new credit score soon. Thanks for asking that question, Audrey.
Okay.
Well, I hope you enjoyed the session, guys, and I hope that it wasn't meant to overload, but I want you to understand why we made the choices this year on the types of presentations. The presentations are uploaded on our YouTube channel, ZWHJCOC. And the reason why we made the choices this year that we made was to prepare you to become a global citizen. Americans and our way of life is changing. It just means we have to change. And we appreciate you coming today to hear our presentations.
All right. So without further ado, we encourage you and invite you, like she said, to follow us on Facebook as well as on our YouTube channel. And because she did do a recording with someone for international living that we would love for you guys to see. So it's kind of like a bonus or an extra or a teaser there that you all can go and take advantage of. And it is already on the YouTube channel. These should be up either later today or tomorrow. So that way, if you want to share it with any of your friends and family. And of course, we want to always encourage and invite you to text to give if you can and if you're able, or whenever you are able, we ask that you please jot this information down. This number is always active. So 214-441-6751. And just text the word give and then just follow the prompts from there. If you are interested in giving, and like I said, save this in your phone. It may be that the spirit of giving comes to you on a later date.
Also, we do have an upcoming session on the 19th of June. I did interview Dia Nunnally and Josetta Ships. Now, I want you to know, Josetta Ships was affected by the 2008 economic crisis. She was laid off as a school teacher. So again, women get hurt first. So she was laid off. She's from St. Louis, and now she works in Shanghai. So you're going to hear her story. So please tune in. We're going to put it on our Facebook page as well as at our YouTube channel. Thank you.
All right, and that is all that I have to share at this moment, aside from thank you, Francis. You always do an amazing job. So we are truly appreciative of the wealth of information that you decide to share with us. So again, thank you for that. We want to thank our participants for being with us today. Those who this is your first time, we hope that you enjoyed it and we hope to see you again. Those that are our loyal supporters, we are always appreciative of you. We thank you graciously and hope that you continue to come back to seek more information from us and that you go out and you share this information with others. So without further ado, I bid you well. Look forward to seeing you all in our future classes. Have a great rest of your day. We hope you enjoyed our Juneteenth Economic Forum. If you missed anything, head over to YouTube. Again, that's ZWHJCOC, which just stands for Zan Wesley Holmes Junior Community Outreach Center. And you can see all of our Juneteenth programs there, as well as some of our past ones, because we've been doing this for a few years. So again, thank you for your time. Have a great rest of your day. I'm just bidding you all farewell. You are more than welcome to leave at this point.
Thank y'all for joining.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Bye, everyone. Thank you.
Miss Audrey, where can I buy